Sonic Generations usually doesn't have a camera that you can move yourself. A lot of the times it's just stuck forward where you're facing, but if you actually stop Sonic and turn him around and start to go backwards in the stage, the camera will actually pan that way. This can reveal a lot of secrets and things you were never supposed to see, like the back end of certain models and a lot of popping that can happen. This video is mainly going to be exploring the most interesting parts in each stage, and there's quite a few bits in this video that's very interesting, so buckle up, subscribe, and let's do this. I'm only going to be tackling modern Sonic in this video since, you know, classic Sonic is a 2D perspective and you can't really manipulate the camera in 2D. There's a couple spots that you can, but not really. I might cover classic Sonic in a different video since there are some glitches that you can do which will allow you to get free movement in the mode, so I might make a video, but it just kind of depends on how much stuff there is to find. First of all, in Green Hill Zone, right at the beginning, you can see that there's a bunch of extra islands that you would usually never see because they are like behind where Sonic would be running, and obviously there's these like little bits of ground that's in the way. And then getting to the end, there's nothing here. The camera loves to shove up like this when you get to a point where the camera doesn't want to face backwards, but it also doesn't want to clip into the geometry. Just another look at some of the distant islands here. I just love how beautiful a lot of the backgrounds, like the waterfall bits, are here. It's just so nice. It just adds so much more charm to Green Hill Zone. At this point, you can actually see where the ocean ends and where the skybox kind of connects to it. You can also jump on some of these ledges here, which is useless. I guess it's cool that it still has collision detection. Another thing to mention is that Green Hill Zone is the level in this game with the most of these cool camera secrets, mainly because it's the most straightforward and the one where you can run on paths without interruptions the most. Other levels have a lot more going on, which unfortunately means that there's less for us to look at because the camera's more restrictive and there's more platforming, which means we can't just run backwards. On this loop section here, you can kind of see how the loop forces you onto the background instead of the foreground. When you try and roll up it backwards, it kind of just doesn't look right when you stop halfway. Sonic gets pushed to the left, and you can even see the water in the background glitching out because the camera angle isn't like normal. You're not supposed to see it from this direction. I don't know if this is a Sonic X Shadow Generations thing or if it's just something that's always there. Going backwards on the rail section, you can see the cave. The camera clipped into the floor a little bit. Yeah, the camera just doesn't go back any further here, unfortunately. There's a lot of points in the game where the camera just doesn't budge, and it's kind of unfortunate. Now, this is probably the most famous Sonic Generations glitch in the game. It's not really related to the video, but I thought I would show it because it does show some background features. But yeah, if you jump and boost, you can skip a loading trigger which loads the actual visual part of the models. Now, the collision is still there so you can stand on it, but it just makes everything invisible and look goofy. But this gives us a good look at the background. There is this random texture there, but looking at this waterfall, it is very weird looking because the water just kind of comes out of the wall without like any normal natural looking animation. And then on this section there's a corkscrew, and if you actually manage to fall off at the right point, this will happen. Yeah, definitely not supposed to do that. Going back to this bit, this is a different view of the waterfall. It is quite grand, and you can see some of the assets in the background being quite low quality, and some of them were even popping out at certain points. This next section, you go from 2D to 3D, and it actually forces you into 2D if you go backwards, and the camera kind of clips through this bit of ledge to get to that 2D perspective. But yeah, you can see here, when we even walk remotely close to it, it forces us into that 2D plane. In this next section, you usually go under here by sliding, but if you go backwards, you can manipulate the camera. There's nothing here, but there is this weird blackness, which is probably to do with the like mapping of the shadows since they're not dynamic in this game. It's probably just an oversight because you were never supposed to see it. It's kind of crazy how empty some of the parts of the level looks, because all of the points where you would usually see, there's loads of background elements and it looks all alive, but then in this bit you can see there's just nothing and it's just endless ocean. It's so strange. This next section with the bridge shows another bit of water that kind of doesn't really look right. As you can see, it kind of just looks like it cuts off into this edge here, but it's not like a normal fade of the water. It kind of just looks like it just clips into it. Yeah, this bit of water and geometry looks really weird, but obviously you were never really supposed to see it from this angle, so it makes sense. In the final section before the ramp, this is what it looks like here from this angle. The camera can actually clip into the rocks on the side. On the right here, you can see some of the models that just don't have any rendering on them, and obviously you're not supposed to see it, so why would they model it? If you go into the cave section, you can see how this looks at this different angle. And this is the most interesting part of the entire level. At the very end final stretch, if you go backwards, you can see that there's not a lot there, and there's just this waterfall and endless ocean. But if you go closer to it, you can see the level pops in. That is absolutely incredible. Obviously at this point you would not be seeing the back at all, so the game just kind of gets rid of it because it doesn't need to render it, so it makes the game run a bit better. But looking at it from this angle, you can just see the ramp pop in first, and then the entire level just pops back in. It is so strange, and I love secrets like this. This was the one thing that made me make this video in the first place when I was messing around with this. Well, that's pretty much it for Green Hill Zone. Let's move on to Chemical Plant, and all the other levels from here have significantly less things to talk about compared to Green Hill. In Chemical Plant Zone, you can get up on this bit at the beginning, but it's pretty useless. The camera angle is pretty interesting as well. You can also jump onto the side things here, whatever these are, and the camera does move freely, so you can look at any angle. To be honest, there's not much to look at in Chemical Plant because most of the angles that you see is like pretty much the same. On this section here, there's more of these circles that you can stand on, which gives you more of a view. You can actually see here the edge of where the chemical plant is, and it's just like the skybox. But I think it might be the only point in the level where you can see this. When you look the other way, you can see that it's actually unrendered a bunch of the level before, like in Green Hill. And obviously you were never really supposed to go on here, so they never accounted for it. This is unrelated to the actual video, but I managed to glitch myself into the ceiling here, and I'm not really sure how or why that happened. Sky Sanctuary has just about as much. Weirdly enough, at the very beginning, there's so many invisible walls around the entire thing, you just can't fall off. On this section here, you can actually climb the sides of these ruins, and you can just walk up them, and it's just a bit strange. You can do this on both sides, and it's just really jarring. The hitboxes are not really accurate. It's clear that you were never supposed to go on here. Just after when you do the tricks, there is this section here which has this like low quality other bit of sanctuary lower down, and you can get close enough where you can see some of the details, and it's quite low quality. If you go on the rail here, you can actually get stuck, and it looks pretty funny. In this section, you can look backwards, and there's another instance of where the game has unrendered all of the things that were previously in the section before. But then if you jump dash forward to it, you can actually get it to render in. It looks pretty funny. There's also a similar situation where I went back here and you could see one of the like teleporters that was the only thing rendered while everything else was invisible. And finally, there's this section where you go from 2D into 3D on the rails, and it looks pretty jarring because I'm going through it backwards, so the camera doesn't know what to do, and it just unrenders some of the things before it should have done. Alright, next onto Speed Highway. This one's pretty interesting. At the beginning there is no ceiling in the starting room that you're in. The helicopter that you can grab onto at the beginning is actually stationary and waiting for you to get to a certain point in the tunnel before it actually sets off. You can see its reflection in here, which just makes it really easy to see. On this section here, you'd usually dash across this sky glass thing. The layout and like proportions of these buildings don't make sense, because why is there this little bit sticking out with just this random path with no guardrails? There's no like way to stop children from just running out here and falling off. Why is it designed like this? You can see that there's plants here as well, which again just makes you think that someone's coming here to water those plants. What is the design of Speed Highway? Wah. Onto City Escape. This one's kind of annoying because I want to explore the snowboard section and look at what the very top of the level looks like, but the game does not allow you to go back up on the snowboard. It really doesn't let you, and even if you manage to turn around or come to a stop, when going up the hill it immediately pushes you in the wrong direction, and the controls are just so finicky, it's just really difficult to control. I was hardly able to get Sonic back up from where we just were. But yeah, this is the type of stuff I found on here anyway, just not much, just pretty scuffed. In the big open section, this is really fun and cool because the camera allows you to move it a lot better, which allows you to see over some of the walls. You can also clip the camera into the wall here to see under the map, That's always cool. And yeah, I just love how open this section is. Yeah, unfortunately there's not much else for City Escape, so on to Seaside Hill, which even though this level is bigger and more open, there's actually less to explore because of that. There's not too much hidden that isn't already seen in normal play. There's this bit with this ramp here which you can go on the grass and manipulate the camera. You can see Sonic's face where his mouth goes from the left and right side. You can also clip into the side here, which I don't even know how I did this, but I couldn't seem to get myself out. I had to really boost and try, and eventually I just got out and died. On top of the green walls, you can actually have a really good view, and it has to be probably the best view in the entire game, but this reveals a secret. The skybox doesn't connect properly, and you can see the seam where it cuts off and starts again. Ugh. Talk about an unfortunate circumstance for the best view in the game. You can see the open ocean and a couple of these whale islands. It's just super nice and super cool. I just love these details. That's it for Seaside Hill, so let's move on to Crisis City, and unfortunately this level doesn't have like anything to talk about. There's this pretty cool angle here, and you can go and look further into the cityscape after jumping off, which does show you where the lava actually ends. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing to talk about in this level. There's not any cool camera angles of running backwards because a lot of it's 2D platforming. Yeah, there's not much to talk about, so let's move on to Rooftop Run. This level is definitely better than a lot of the other ones for this video. There's quite a few things to see. The area at the start is quite open. The section after, next to where the professor's lab is quite open, and it actually shows the secret of how low quality Generation's backgrounds actually are. All of the food stalls here, just like in Unleashed, are really shit looking. Look at this fruit. It's literally just a flat plane that's elevated slightly with a texture of oranges and apples and stuff on it. Ugh. It looks atrocious, and don't even get me started with the ones that are inside the windows. Look at this. Oh. Now, normally you're supposed to just dash past these and not even notice, but yikes, are they pretty low quality, and it's the same in Unleashed, by the way. But the main issue with Unleashed is in the Spagonia hub world you can actually see these up close when you're slowly walking through the city as intended by the game designers. This next section you can clip the camera through the wall here and see some of the low quality buildings in the background. Near the final section there's this big spike thing that drops on you, and one thing I've discovered is that you can actually just go to the sides and be completely safe. So if you're ever going too slow on this section, just go to the sides and you won't get crushed by it. It's honestly a pretty cool thing to know, and I'm glad I discovered that. Alright, on to Planet Wisp, our final level of this video, and this level has not much either. The very beginning bit has a controlled camera which you would never even see because Sonic starts after where this camera shows, but my god is this view pretty, oh my god. You can also go into the little trees here, which is pretty funny. On this rock here you can manipulate the camera slightly just to see a different angle. Not too much to see unfortunately, but it's something you can do. This section here with all the ramps looks like it was just placed randomly without any thought, because just look at them when the camera actually moves up to give you a better view, and oh my god, it looks atrocious. What were they thinking with this? In the next section you can actually jump backwards into where the water is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems to be the only instance that I've found where you can actually go and see the void just from a normal perspective of just going backwards. There's probably some glitch that allows you to use M speed to see the void, but without using these huge exploits, it looks like it might be the only place in the game where you can normally see the void by just jumping backwards at one point. The section after that is full of this poison. Going backwards didn't rotate the camera unfortunately, but I did test what happens when you go into the poison, and there is actually a splash animation, which, you know, I didn't expect because usually when you die you're too far away. The section after this was pretty open as well, and I just wanted to get a view next to the rails, and you can see that this is a PS3 game because some of these textures and models are really angular at certain points. Ugh. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the entire game of the modern Sonic stages. There's definitely some things to explore in classic Sonic, especially with that glitch that allows him to move in 3D. So if you want to see more of this type of stuff, click that subscribe button below, and thanks for watching this Sonic Generations video. I hope you learned something new, and you can just try this for yourself in game. You know, it's all in the vanilla game. Anyway, thanks for watching, and bye bye!